Have you ever heard a story that touched your heart so deeply, you could never forget it? A story that made you stop, think, and feel something very strong inside you. This is such a story. It is the story of a boy. A boy who was very sick. A boy who, even in pain, gave hope to many people. Have you ever felt weak? Have you ever thought that life is too hard for you? Sometimes life feels very heavy. Sometimes life feels like a storm we cannot escape. But what if, in the middle of the storm, someone smiled? What if, in the middle of pain, someone found courage? This boy did that. He showed people a light in a dark world. A small light can become very big. A small hope can grow and touch many hearts. You may not know him yet. You may not know his name. But his story can reach you. His story can change the way you see life. Imagine a boy in a small room, with white walls, and the sound of machines around him. Imagine him looking at the window. The sun is shining outside, but he cannot go out. He feels tired. His body hurts. Many people feel sad when they see him. Many people do not know what to say. But he smiles. Even in his small room, he smiles. And when he smiles, the room feels warm. Have you ever smiled when you felt pain? Have you ever tried to find something good when everything seemed bad? This boy tried. Every day he tried. Every day he looked for small joys. Every day he found a reason to hope. And this story, your story now, begins with that smile. A smile that whispers to the world, even in my weakness, I am strong. Even in my fear, I can give hope. Can you imagine that? One boy, one small smile, can change the hearts of many people. And maybe, after you hear his story, you will find a smile too. A smile that grows from hope. A smile that moves mountains. Have you ever felt that you cannot do anything? That life is too hard? This boy felt the same. But he chose differently. He chose to shine. He chose to give hope. And now, you are ready to meet him. Are you ready to see how a small boy can inspire millions? The boy's name was Daniel. He was only 12 years old, but his heart was very big. He loved small things in life. He loved the sound of birds in the morning. He loved the smell of bread from the bakery near his home. He loved drawing pictures of trees, flowers, and people smiling. Daniel had dreams, like all children. He wanted to be an artist. He wanted to paint colors that could make people happy. He wanted to travel to places he had seen only in books. But Daniel was sick. Very sick. His body was weak. Sometimes, he could not walk. Sometimes, he could not eat. Doctors said he needed many medicines. Sometimes, he had to stay in the hospital for weeks. His friends played outside, but Daniel stayed in bed. And yet, he never gave up hope. I will paint one day, he said quietly. Even if my hands are weak, I will paint. His mother watched him. She was tired and sad. She worried every day. But she also saw his smile. And his smile gave her courage. Daniel, she said, you are stronger than anyone I know. Daniel laughed softly. I am not strong, he said. I just try to see the good things. And that was Daniel's secret. He tried to see good things, even when life was hard. Every morning, he looked out of his window and counted the clouds. Every night, he closed his eyes and thought of colors. Red, blue, yellow, even the small things made him happy. And slowly, that happiness began to shine outside. People who visited him noticed. Nurses, doctors, and his friends said, Daniel, how can you be so happy? You are sick. You should be sad. But Daniel only smiled. Why be sad, he said, when there is still so much to see? Daniel's sickness was not easy. Every day, he had to take strong medicines. Some made him feel dizzy. Some made him feel weak. Every visit to the hospital was long and scary. Machines beeped loudly. People walked quickly around him. Sometimes, he felt alone. People looked at him and said, "Poor boy, poor boy." At first, he felt sad. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Why do I have this pain?" But then, he asked another question. "Why not me?" Daniel looked at the world around him. He saw other children. They laughed. They ran. They played. And he said, "I may be sick, but I can still smile. I can still dream." Every day, he tried to move a little. Even when his body hurt, he tried. Even when he felt tired, he tried. He wrote small notes. "I can be happy today." He drew small pictures. "I can bring colors to the world." And slowly, people began to notice something. Daniel was not just a sick boy. Daniel was a boy with courage. One day, a nurse asked Daniel, "How do you do it? How do you stay so happy?" Daniel smiled. "I think of good things. I think of the sun. I think of my friends. I think of people I can help. If I am sad, I cannot help anyone. If I am happy, maybe I can make someone else happy too." The nurse was quiet. She looked at him with new eyes. She realized that Daniel was teaching her something. She realized that happiness can come from the heart, not the body. And Daniel taught this to everyone who visited him. His friends came to see him. They thought he would be sad, but he laughed. He told them stories. He painted small pictures for them. And slowly, his small room became a place of light. People stopped feeling sorry for him. They felt inspired by him. They wanted to be better, just like Daniel. Daniel loved simple things. A small flower could make him smile. A kind word from a friend could make him feel strong. He knew he could not run far like other children. He knew he could not play football. But he also knew something very important. He could touch hearts. He could give hope. And that was stronger than any game or any race. "Even if my body is weak," he said, "my heart can be strong." And every day, he practiced this strength. Every day, he shared a little happiness. Sometimes he wrote letters to children in other hospitals. Sometimes he drew pictures and gave them to nurses. Sometimes he simply smiled at strangers. And every small act made a big difference. People began to talk about Daniel. People began to notice the boy with a weak body and a strong heart. And slowly, the world around him began to change, little by little, because of one small boy. Daniel's days were not easy. Every morning, he woke up with pain in his body. Sometimes his legs felt heavy. Sometimes his hands shook. He had to take many medicines. The medicines helped him a little, but they also made him feel tired. The hospital smelled strange. It smelled like medicine and disinfectant. Machines beeped loudly. Sometimes the sounds made him scared. He could not run or play like other children. He could not ride a bike or go to the park. Other children laughed outside the hospital window, and Daniel felt a little sad. He wanted to join them, but he could not. Many people looked at him and said, "Poor boy. Life is not fair to you." At first, Daniel felt weak. He thought, "Why me? Why am I sick? What did I do to deserve this?" He felt lonely sometimes. He missed his friends. He missed school. He missed the playground. But then, Daniel remembered something very important. He remembered the small joys. The little things that made life beautiful. The sunlight on his bed. The gentle touch of his mother's hand. The soft voice of a nurse saying, "Good morning, Daniel." He thought, even if life is hard, I can find good things. Every day, Daniel faced the same questions: why am I sick? What is my purpose? But he answered them in his heart. I am here to give hope. I am here to smile. I am here to touch hearts. And even on the hardest days, Daniel tried. He tried to read books. He tried to draw pictures. He tried to write small notes of happiness. Sometimes, he laughed quietly at funny stories. Sometimes, he whispered to himself, I can do this. I am strong. And slowly, his small actions made the hospital feel different. Nurses and doctors noticed him. Other children noticed him. His courage began to shine. Daniel's body was weak, but his spirit was strong. He was learning something that many people never learn: true strength does not always come from muscles. True strength comes from the heart. True strength comes from hope. And Daniel, even as a sick boy, was becoming a teacher. He was teaching everyone around him that life is not only about the body. Life is also about courage, love, and small acts of joy. Every day, he faced struggles. Every day, he felt pain. But every day, he found a reason to smile. And that smile was the first step to something greater. One morning, Daniel decided to try something new. He picked up a pencil and began to draw. His hands shook, and his body felt heavy, but he drew anyway. Little by little, a picture appeared. It was a picture of the sun shining over a small village. The colors were bright: yellow, red, blue. Daniel looked at his work and smiled. It is not perfect, he whispered. But it is mine. That day, a nurse noticed him. She looked at the picture and said, Daniel, this is beautiful. You are talented. Daniel felt happy. He had never thought his small drawings could mean something. Then, he had an idea. Maybe I can share my drawings with other children, he thought. He wanted them to see that even if life is hard, small joys can shine. And in that moment, Daniel discovered something very important: even when you are sick, you can give. You can share hope. You can inspire. Daniel began to draw every day. Some days, he could only make small sketches. Some days, his body hurt too much. But he never stopped. He drew flowers, trees, children, and smiling faces. Sometimes, he wrote small words on his drawings: be happy, smile today, you are strong. His friends came to visit him. They saw his pictures. They smiled. They said, Daniel, your drawings make me happy. You make me feel better. Daniel realized something. His small acts of hope were changing people. The nurse, the doctor, the children, everyone felt inspired. And slowly, Daniel began to feel stronger in a new way. His body was still weak, but his heart felt powerful. People began to talk about Daniel. Teachers at his school came to visit him. They saw a boy with a weak body but a bright spirit. Daniel, you are amazing, they said. Even strangers, people who heard about him, wanted to see him. They saw courage in his eyes. They saw hope in his smile. And Daniel realized that even one person, one small boy, could make a big difference. I am just a child, he thought. But maybe I can help people see happiness, even in hard times. His small room became a place of light. A place where hope lived. One day, Daniel wrote a letter to another child in the hospital. He wrote, Hello, friend. Life can be hard. I know it. But we can still smile. We can still dream. Today, I drew a sun for you. Look at it and feel strong. He sent the letter with a nurse. A few days later, the child replied, Thank you, Daniel. Your sun made me happy. You made me smile. You are brave. Daniel read the letter and smiled. This is why I try, he said softly. Even one smile can change someone's day. And that thought gave him new energy. Daniel's courage began to spread. His friends at school told other children about him. His teachers shared his story with parents. People began to see Daniel not as a sick boy, but as a boy who could inspire others. His small acts of kindness, smiles, drawings, letters, were moving hearts. Daniel realized that hope could be stronger than illness. He realized that love and courage could reach farther than pain. And every day, he tried to live by this idea. Even doctors were amazed. One doctor said, "Daniel, you teach me more than I teach you. Your courage is incredible." Daniel smiled. "I just try to see good things," he said. "I just try to be happy, even when life is hard." And the doctor nodded. He realized that medicine alone cannot heal the heart. Daniel was teaching everyone something important, that joy, hope, and courage are gifts that can be shared, even in difficult times. Sometimes, Daniel sat quietly by the window and watched the sun. He thought about his dreams. He thought about the children he had helped with his letters and drawings. He thought about all the smiles he had seen in return. And he whispered, "Even one small boy can make a difference. Even one small smile can grow." Daniel believed in small steps. He believed that even small actions matter. And slowly, that belief began to touch more people. Daniel also faced days of sadness. Some mornings, he could not draw. Some days, the pain was too strong. Sometimes he asked, "Why me?" But then he remembered the children who smiled at his drawings. He remembered the nurse who said, "You are amazing." He remembered the letter from a child who felt stronger because of him. And he decided to continue. "I will not give up," he whispered. "I will shine, even a little, every day." The community began to notice Daniel's story. People talked about him at school, at work, and in the neighborhood. They spoke about a boy with a weak body but a strong heart. They spoke about courage, hope, and small acts of love. Some people came to see him in the hospital. They wanted to meet the boy who inspired them. They wanted to learn from him. Daniel smiled and welcomed everyone. "Hello," he said. "I am just a boy, but we can all be brave together." And with that simple greeting, Daniel showed a powerful lesson, that even small words can carry great hope. Daniel's story began to travel beyond the hospital walls. One day, a teacher shared his story online. She wrote about his drawings, his letters, and his smiles. She told everyone how a small boy, weak in body but strong in heart, inspired his friends, teachers, and nurses. The post reached many people. Strangers wrote messages to Daniel. "You are amazing," they said. "You make me feel hope." "Thank you for showing courage," said another. Daniel read the messages slowly. He could not believe it. "People, all these people," he whispered. "I did not know my small drawings could reach so far." His mother sat beside him and held his hand. "Daniel," she said, "your heart is bigger than the world. You are giving hope to people who need it." Daniel smiled softly. He felt a warm feeling in his chest. He realized that even one small action, like a drawing or a letter, could touch millions. He thought about the children who smiled at his sun pictures. He thought about nurses who felt happy when they saw him laugh. And now, he thought about strangers far away, feeling brave because of him. He said quietly, "If my small smile can help one person, maybe it can help more." Every morning, Daniel tried to do something kind. Every small act, writing a note, drawing a picture, or simply smiling at someone, was a gift. And people began to notice that this boy, who could not run, play, or leave the hospital freely, was changing the world in his own way. "Daniel," a nurse said, "you are a teacher. You teach people about hope and courage." Daniel laughed softly. "I am just a boy," he said, "but maybe one smile, one small action, can grow into something big." That day, Daniel understood something powerful. Strength is not always in the body. Strength is in the heart. Strength is in hope, courage, and love. Even when life feels unfair, even when pain is strong, even when the world seems dark, one small boy can bring light. And slowly, Daniel's story began to shine brighter and brighter. He was becoming more than a boy in a hospital room. He was becoming a symbol. A symbol that even in weakness, there can be strength. A symbol that even in sadness, there can be joy. And with that symbol, Daniel was teaching millions without even leaving his small room. Daniel's story continued to grow every day. More and more people heard about him. Friends of his teacher shared the story with other schools. Local newspapers wrote about the boy who drew pictures and wrote letters to inspire others. Strangers from different towns sent him cards, small gifts, and letters filled with encouragement. "You are amazing," one letter said. "Thank you for teaching me to smile." Daniel read every message slowly. He could feel warmth in his heart. Even though his body was weak, he felt strong in a new way. His mother often sat beside him and said, "Daniel, look at all these people who love you. Look at all the hearts you have touched." Daniel smiled softly. He could not play outside or run with other children, but he realized something powerful: even small actions can reach far. Even small hope can grow. Every morning, Daniel tried to do something kind. Sometimes he drew a picture. Sometimes he wrote a letter. Sometimes he simply smiled at a nurse or whispered, "Have a good day." And every small act made a difference. People who knew him began to see life differently. They saw that courage is not always about fighting battles with your body. Courage can be quiet. Courage can be gentle. Courage can live in a small smile or a simple act of kindness. Daniel's friends at school began to follow his example. They started helping each other. They smiled more. They shared small joys. Teachers noticed the change. Nurses noticed the change. And Daniel, without even leaving his hospital room, was teaching a powerful lesson: that love, hope, and courage can grow anywhere, even in the smallest places. People began to say, "If a small boy like Daniel can shine, then we can too." And slowly, the world around Daniel began to feel warmer. Slowly, the hearts of people around him began to open. He realized that even in his sickness, he was not weak. He realized that even one boy, one small heart, could inspire millions. And that thought gave him energy, even on the hardest days. He whispered quietly to himself, "I may be small, I may be sick, but I can still shine. I can still give hope." That was Daniel's secret. That was his power. And the world was beginning to notice. Daniel's courage touched more hearts every day. Teachers, friends, and even strangers who came to visit him felt a change inside themselves. One teacher said, "Daniel, you make me want to be a better person. I want to help more children and smile more, like you." Daniel smiled softly. "I just try to see good things," he said quietly. That is all anyone can do. His friends at school felt inspired too. They started helping each other, sharing small acts of kindness, and supporting those who were sad. They said, "If Daniel can be brave, we can try too." And slowly, the energy of hope began to grow. Even people who had never met him personally were touched by his story. A stranger wrote, "Your smile, Daniel, gives me courage when I feel sad." "Thank you." Daniel could not believe it. One small boy, in a hospital room, was inspiring people far away. But Daniel also knew that his influence was not magic. It came from simple acts: drawing a picture, writing a letter, sharing a smile, and choosing hope over sadness. And every day, he tried to live by this lesson. He learned that even small actions can grow into something very powerful. Even a small boy can make a big difference. And every person he touched began to touch someone else. The ripple of hope moved through schools, hospitals, families, and communities. People began to see that happiness is not only about what you have but also about what you give. And Daniel's giving was quiet, gentle, and strong. He did not need to shout or perform great deeds. He simply lived with love, hope, and courage. And in doing so, he showed people a simple truth: life is difficult and pain is real, but kindness, hope, and a positive heart can change the world. And slowly, Daniel realized another truth too. Even though he was sick, even though he could not run or play, he had a power that few people understand: the power to inspire. And that power, he understood, could never be taken away. Even in weakness, he was strong. Even in a small hospital room, he could touch millions of hearts. And that knowledge gave him comfort, strength, and joy. Daniel's story began to travel far beyond his small town. One day, a journalist visited the hospital. She saw the boy drawing pictures and smiling, even when he was very sick. She wrote an article about him, sharing his courage, his letters, and his hope. The article was published in a newspaper and then shared online. People from other cities and countries read about Daniel. They were amazed by a small boy who could inspire so many hearts. Messages arrived from strangers: "Daniel, your courage makes me stronger. Daniel, your smile gives me hope when life is hard." His mother held him gently and said, "Daniel, do you see? You are touching millions of hearts." Daniel looked at her and whispered, "I never imagined this. I am just a boy in a small room." But slowly, he understood. Even one small person can make a difference. Even one small smile can grow into something huge. People began to share his story on social media. Teachers, parents, and children wrote about him. Hospitals and schools invited his mother to speak about his courage. Daniel's story became a symbol of hope. Even though his body was weak, his spirit was strong. People started to say, if a sick boy can inspire millions, then we can find strength too. And that gave Daniel joy. He realized that pain and sickness did not stop him from being powerful in another way. He could give courage, hope, and love. Every morning, he woke up thinking, "Today, I will do one small thing to make someone happy." And every day, that small act multiplied, reaching people he would never meet. Daniel's story showed that hope can travel farther than the fastest train, that love can reach hearts across oceans, and that one person, no matter how small or weak, can leave a mark on the world. And slowly, Daniel began to understand a truth that few people ever see: sometimes, the body may be limited, but the soul has no limits. Sometimes, one small boy in a hospital room can become the energy of life for millions. And every smile, every letter, every small act of kindness was part of that energy. Daniel did not need to run, jump, or travel to be powerful. He only needed to be himself, hopeful, loving, and courageous. And that was enough to inspire the world. Daniel's story reached more and more people every day. Teachers from other schools read about him and shared his letters and drawings with their students. Hospitals showed his pictures to children who were sick. People from other towns sent messages: "Your courage gives me hope." Even strangers who had never met Daniel felt inspired. Daniel began to understand something incredible: one small act can grow into something very big. His small smile, his drawings, his letters, they were not just small things anymore. They were hope for millions. And even though he could not leave the hospital, his spirit traveled everywhere. People began to think, if Daniel can be strong, even when life is hard, then I can try too. And that thought changed hearts. Slowly, Daniel realized that his sickness did not make him weak. His sickness gave him a special power. The power to touch hearts, to inspire, and to teach people about hope and courage. Daniel became a symbol of strength. People called him the boy who inspires millions. His drawings and letters were shared online. Videos of him smiling, talking, and encouraging others reached thousands of people. People watched him and felt hope. If a small boy can be brave, maybe I can be brave too, they said. Even adults who had forgotten how to smile, how to dream, felt courage because of him. And Daniel, in his small hospital room, continued to do the same things he had always done: draw, write letters, smile, and encourage others. His power was quiet, but it was strong. Even though Daniel was sick, he became an energy of life for many people. Friends, teachers, nurses, and strangers learned from him. They learned that life is not only about what we lose but also about what we can give. Daniel gave hope, courage, and love. And that gift was more powerful than any medicine. People wrote to him, "You are amazing. You make me want to be a better person." Daniel read the letters carefully. He smiled and whispered, "Even small acts matter. Even small hearts can shine." Daniel's story traveled far. It reached other countries. People shared his drawings, his letters, and his messages of hope. Teachers showed his story to children in schools. Hospitals displayed his pictures. Strangers who had never met him felt courage and joy because of one small boy. Daniel could not believe it. "Me," he whispered. "I only drew pictures and smiled," but slowly, he realized the truth. His small acts had created something bigger than himself. Something that would last. Something that could inspire people forever. Even in weakness, Daniel showed courage. One day, a nurse asked him, "Daniel, do you know how many hearts you have touched?" Daniel smiled softly. "I only tried to be happy," he said. "I only tried to see good things." And that simple truth left a mark on everyone who heard it. People remembered his gentle words, his drawings, his letters, and most of all, his smile. His mother often cried quietly, seeing the difference her son made. And Daniel, even in his pain, felt proud. He understood that courage is not always loud. Courage can live quietly in a small smile, a simple drawing, or a kind word. Daniel's legacy began to grow. His story, his letters, and his drawings remained in the hearts of people. Nurses and doctors told new children about him. Teachers shared his story with students every year. People remembered him as the boy with a weak body but the strongest heart. A simple smile from Daniel had inspired millions. His courage, love, and hope were never forgotten. Even when life is difficult, even when pain is strong, his example showed that small acts of kindness can grow into something extraordinary. One sick boy had changed the world in a quiet but powerful way. Daniel's final days were quiet but full of meaning. His body was very weak, and sometimes he could not speak. But his heart remained strong. Nurses, friends, and family sat by his bedside, holding his hands and smiling. Even in his weakness, Daniel gave comfort to others. One afternoon, he whispered to his mother, "Do not be sad. I am happy. I did my best." His mother's eyes filled with tears. "You have done more than anyone could ever imagine," she said. Daniel smiled softly. Even in pain, he understood that his life had a purpose. He had shown people that courage is not about strength in the body, it is about strength in the heart. Before he passed, Daniel wrote one last letter. He wrote, "Even if life is hard, even if your body is weak, you can still shine. You can still give hope. You can still love. Smile. Help someone. Dream. Be kind. And remember, one small act can change many lives." The letter was shared with hospitals, schools, and families. People read it and felt a new courage. They remembered Daniel not as a sick boy, but as a teacher, a friend, and a symbol of hope. Even after he was gone, his words and drawings continued to inspire millions. His life, though short, left a permanent mark on the world. Daniel's story teaches us an important lesson. He could have chosen sadness, anger, or fear. He could have given up. But he chose hope. He chose to smile. He chose to encourage others, even when life was difficult. And because of that choice, he became stronger than most people who have never known pain. Think about your own life. When things are hard, what will you choose? Will you focus on fear and sadness, or will you choose hope, courage and kindness. Daniel shows us that strength is not measured by your body, your money, or your success. Strength is measured by your heart, your courage, and your ability to give to others, even in small ways. You can remember Daniel whenever life feels difficult. You can smile when you feel weak. You can help someone when you feel tired. You can write a small note, draw a picture, or simply share a kind word. Even small actions matter. Even small hearts can inspire millions. Daniel's life is a reminder that courage, hope, and kindness are never wasted. They grow, touch others, and make the world a better place. Ask yourself, today, what small act can you do to share hope? Today, how can you shine, even if life feels hard? Sometimes the weakest body holds the strongest soul. Sometimes one small boy, in a quiet hospital room, can inspire millions of people. Daniel showed us that life is not about what we cannot do, but about what we can give. One smile, one letter, one act of courage can grow and change hearts everywhere. His story is now a light for the world, a light that reminds us to choose hope, to share love, and to live with courage every day. And even though Daniel is no longer here, his spirit lives on, whispering softly to everyone, "You are stronger than you think. Shine, even in small ways. And remember, your heart has the power to change the world."